quick ad. With Time Twist, you get exciting, bizarre, and significant historical events delivered to your phone every single day. Enjoying this episode? There's so much more in the app. You'll find the link in the show notes. Let's get started.
Okay, May 15th. Sounds like just another date on the calendar, right?
Yeah, pretty unremarkable maybe at first glance.
But if you scratch beneath the surface just a little bit.
Oh, it's absolutely packed.
Right. It's this amazing intersection of, like, game-changing moments, big cultural shifts, stuff that really set us on new paths.
Exactly.
We've been digging through, articles, some first-hand accounts, even some surprising little details.
Mm-hmm.
And we wanted to bring you the most, compelling things that all happened on this one day, May 15th.
It's fascinating how pulling on that one thread, that single date, reveals so much.
So yeah, buckle up. We're going on a bit of a journey through time. Might find some unexpected links, maybe a few aha moments.
Well, what's so interesting about focusing on a date like May 15th is just the sheer range of human experience you find crammed into it.
Totally.
You get, the absolute high of victory, but then also the weight of surrender.
Yeah.
Artistic breakthroughs right alongside the births of people who, changed how we see the world.
It really shows you history isn't just this straight line, is it?
Not at all. It's much more like a web, isn't it? Constantly shifting, things connecting in unexpected ways.
Okay, let's dive into some of those big moments then. Breakthroughs, changes. Let's go to, say, 2016, Spanish Grand Prix.
Right. Formula One.
Yeah, usually you're watching the established names, the champions.
Mm-hmm. Usual suspects.
But on this May 15th, this 18-year-old kid, Max Verstappen, he just bursts onto the scene.
Youngest ever winner.
18! I mean, think about that. The focus, the skill under that kind of pressure.
It's astonishing.
It felt like more than just one race win, Like maybe a changing of the guard, the start of something new in F1.
Yeah, definitely signals a shift. What do you think allowed that? Someone so young achieving that?
That's a good question. I mean, obviously, incredible natural talent.
Sure, and years of training, even by then.
Right. But maybe F1 itself was changing? More focus on simulators, maybe? Getting drivers' experience younger?
That could be part of it. There's perhaps a better pathway now for spotting and nurturing that young talent really early on.
Yeah.
Giving them exposure they wouldn't have had, say, 20 years ago.
Yeah, that makes sense. And if you think about that kind of drive, that youthful ambition, think about Jessica Watson. 2010? Also May 15th.
The sailor.
Yes, 16 years old, completes a solo non-stop sail around the globe.
Just incredible, the mental strength required for that.
Yep.
The isolation, the storms.
Facing down huge waves and probably a lot of people saying she couldn't do it.
Exactly, an extraordinary feat of resilience, especially at 16.
It really puts your own teenage dramas into perspective, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I certainly wasn't doing anything quite like that.
Me neither. But speaking of big shifts, let's talk about 2008. May 15th again.
Okay.
California legalizes same-sex marriage.
A huge moment. Really landmark.
Felt massive, didn't it? For LGBTQ plus rights, it wasn't just like a court decision. It really echoed culturally.
You saw it move from the courtroom to, celebrations in the streets.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think made California sort of the first big state to take that step? Was it just the legal battles?
Well, it's complex, isn't it? It was years of legal fights, yes, but also shifting public opinion.
Right.
And very strong advocacy groups pushing for change within the state.
So a combination of things coming together.
Exactly. And it wasn't in a vacuum either. It built on earlier, smaller victories, changes in how people thought. And then California's decision, it acted like a catalyst, didn't it?
Yeah, you definitely saw that ripple effect across the country afterward.
The domino effect, yeah.
Okay, so moving on, let's think about moments that left like a real lasting mark. Culturally, May 15th, 1990, picture an auction house. Buzzing.
Okay.
And then Van Gogh's portrait of Dr. Gachet. It sells for, wait for it, $82.5 million.
Wow. A staggering amount back then. Record-breaking.
The most expensive painting ever sold at that time. But it's more than the money, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
There's such intensity in that painting. You feel like you're seeing something raw, something about, his struggles, his genius.
Definitely. Part of his Van Gogh himself, the myth, the tragedy.
It's true.
But that specific painting, Dr. Gachet, it's seen as just so powerful. Captures this deep melancholy, this psychological intensity. It's a prime example of his later work.
And the record price probably added to its fame, too.
Oh, undoubtedly. It cemented its legendary status. Thinking about other kinds of lasting marks on this date. 1991.
Okay.
Edith Cresson becomes France's first female prime minister.
Wow. That's huge. Breaking that glass ceiling in European politics.
Truly historic. Required incredible, determination. Poise and persistence, as some sources described it.
You can only imagine the barriers she must have faced, the ingrained attitudes.
In such a male-dominated world, especially then, it says a lot about her.
Definitely. And then jumping forward again, 2004, also May 15th.
Right.
South Africa wins the bid to host the 2010 FIFA World Cup.
Ah, yes, a big moment for sport.
But more than sport, wasn't it? I mean, the first time the World Cup would be on African soil.
Huge symbolic weight. A massive cultural victory, really.
Yeah, like a statement. A moment of incredible national pride, reflecting the country's journey.
You could almost feel the collective excitement, couldn't you? Maybe hear the first.
The first vuvuzela warming up.
Exactly. That sound, that became so iconic for that World Cup.
It's funny how those different things, the painting, the political appointment, the World Cup bid, they all seem unrelated.
But they all represent a kind of shift, don't they? A breaking of some kind of boundary.
Yeah, challenging the old norms. In art, politics, global sport, a new reality starting to emerge.
Precisely.
Okay, changing gear a bit. Let's look at some maybe turning tides, unexpected beginnings.
Right.
May 15th, 1988. Think about this. After a decade of really brutal fighting.
Afghanistan.
Yeah. The Soviet Union begins pulling its troops out of Afghanistan.
The end of a long, costly war for them. Described as the slow exhale of a long, cold war.
That's a powerful image. You sense the weightlifting, maybe, potential for big geopolitical shifts, but also uncertainty, right, for the region.
Absolutely. The immediate result was, more instability. A power vacuum, continued fighting inside Afghanistan.
And long-term?
Long-term, many see the withdrawal as a major factor contributing to the eventual collapse of the Soviet Union itself.
Really? How so?
Well, it exposed the limits of their military power, drained resources, and damaged morale. It was a significant blow.
Huh. Interesting connection. Okay, another pivotal shift on this date, but further back, 1970.
1970.
The U.S. Army appoints its first female general.
Anna Mae Hayes and Elizabeth Hoisington, yes.
Groundbreaking stuff. Really symbolic, wasn't it? Challenging those traditional gender roles in the military.
Completely. Their promotion sent a huge signal about opportunities opening up for women in leadership.
It's like you said, those stars on their shoulders, like sparks starting a bigger fire.
A good way to put it.
But, May 15th also holds some much darker moments.
True. History isn't always progress and celebration.
1940. The Netherlands surrenders to Nazi Germany.
A very somber event. An act of survival, really, against overwhelming force.
Devastating.
But it's crucial to remember, as you hinted, that surrender wasn't the end of the story. It wasn't a submission of the spirit.
Right. The resistance.
Exactly. The Dutch people kept resisting, using whatever means they had. Bicycles, fake IDs, incredible bravery. That resilience is a theme we see again and again.
And then, talk about contrast. On the exact same day, May 15th, 1940.
What else happened?
The very first McDonald's opened.
No kidding.
Yeah.
The same day as the Dutch surrender.
Yep. Just a simple little place. Burgers, fries. Who could possibly have guessed it would become this global giant?
Wow. Or how much it would change, eating habits, the idea of fast.
Talk about a strange historical coincidence. War and the birth of fast food. History does throw some curveballs.
It certainly does.
Okay, let's shift again. Icons. Imagination, expression, people and things that captured the public's mind. May 15th, 1928. A little cartoon debuts. Plain Crazy.
Featuring
a certain mouse. Mickey Mouse.
His very first appearance, though maybe not the one most people think of.
Right. Steamboat Willie with the sound came later. But this was him. Scrappy, a bit cheeky.
With absolutely no idea he was about to become, maybe the most famous rodent ever.
What is it about Mickey? Why has he lasted so long?
It's partly that simple design, isn't it? So expressive, crosses language barriers.
Yeah.
And he kind of embodies this plucky optimism, resilience.
Yeah.
It just resonates.
True. Okay, another form of expression, different vibe entirely. May 15th, 2004.
Eurovision.
You got it. Ruslana wins for Ukraine.
Wild dances. Yes, I remember that. Full of energy, leather and fire, as some describe.
Totally. It was such a powerful performance. And it really showed how Eurovision is this, melting pot.
Pop music, yes, but also national pride, cultural identity.
Sometimes even politics bubbling underneath.
Absolutely. Her win really put Ukrainian culture on that huge stage.
It showed how music, performance, can make a big international splash.
Definitely demonstrated that power of artistic expression.
So May 15th isn't just about events, it's the people born on this day, too. The ones who left their mark.
Visionaries, creators.
1856, L. Frank Baum is born.
The creator of Oz.
Yeah. Gave us the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, the Cowardly Lion, and that yellow brick road.
Which is such a great metaphor, isn't it? The search for courage, wisdom, heart.
Why do you think stories like Oz stick with us so strongly, even now?
Well, Baum tapped into really universal ideas, didn't he? Self-discovery, finding strengths you didn't know you had. That journey is something we all relate to.
True. Okay, another May 15th birth, 1937, Madeleine Albright.
Ah, a major figure in diplomacy.
Her story is incredible. Refugee to U.S. Secretary of State.
A testament to resilience. And she really believed in diplomacy, didn't she? Even using her pins to send messages.
Yeah, the famous pins, a remarkable stateswoman. Then, 1948, Brian Eno was born.
Ah, the music innovator.
Pioneer's right. He didn't just write music. He, sculpted sound. Ambient stuff, weird textures.
Pushing boundaries. Creating digital soul, as you put it.
And it's almost funny to think the same guy with that experimental mind
also created
a Windows 95 startup sound.
Yes. That little chime heard billions of times.
How does someone do both? That range?
I think it comes down to curiosity, doesn't it? A willingness to just explore sound without being tied to one genre, moving between the avant-garde and the, very mainstream.
Fascinating. And one more birth for this date, 1951, Frank Wilczek.
Nobel Prize-winning physicist.
Yeah. And there's this great line comparing how he understands quarks, tiny fundamental particles, to how poets see stars, like this deep, almost intuitive grasp of how the universe works.
That's a beautiful comparison. It really highlights how science and art can both lead to profound understanding, just through different paths.
From Oz to quarks, all linked by May 15th.
Right.
Amazing. But we also have to acknowledge the endings. Significant, sometimes tragic conclusions.
History has those too, of course.
1932. May 15th, the Prime Minister of Japan, Inukai Tsuyoshi, is assassinated.
A violent end with huge repercussions.
Yeah, it really marked a shift, didn't it? Towards more military power in Japan. Cast a long shadow.
It did. It was a result of lots of factors, economic hardship from the Depression, rising nationalism, people losing faith in democracy. His death really tipped the balance towards militarism.
A dark turning point.
Yeah.
And going way further back, 1536, also May 15th.
Let me guess. Anne Boleyn.
The trial begins, or at least the process leading to her execution is in full swing.
Yeah, yes. Fiery, brilliant, as she's often called.
Facing accusations that just seem cruel, bizarre looking back.
Completely. And her story, love, ambition, power, betrayal, it still fascinates us, doesn't it? Centuries later.
Why do you think that is? What's the enduring appeal?
Well, it hits on these huge, timeless themes. Right. Ambition colliding with love, the absolute ruthlessness of power.
And her defiance, maybe? Even facing death?
That too. Plus, her fall had such massive consequences for the English throne, for the church. Her impact was undeniable.
Her life and death really show how one person can get caught up in these huge historical shifts.
Absolutely, and leave a legacy that people are still debating and exploring today.
So there we are, May 15th. Just one day, but look at the sheer variety.
It's incredible, isn't it?
We've got these amazing triumphs, deep tragedies, acts of bravery, sparks of creativity.
Curiosity pushing boundaries.
It really drives home that history isn't just a list of dates and facts. It's dynamic. So many layers, often interconnected in ways you don't expect.
And what really stands out is that constant mix of individual actions, one person making a decision, creating something, taking a stand, and these bigger forces, societal trends, political currents.
Yeah, they all weave together.
Exactly. These events on May 15th, they might seem separate, but together they paint this rich picture of, human striving, ambition, resilience, the potential for progress, but also for conflict.
And it makes you think how those threads from the past are still woven into today, doesn't it?
It really does. History doesn't just repeat, maybe, but it resonates.
Well said. And that wraps up our deep dive for today. We hope exploring May 15th with us has sparked some thoughts, maybe given you a slightly different angle on how history unfolds.
Were there any connections that surprised you? Anything that particularly struck a chord?
Yeah, that's something to maybe mull over. Thanks for joining us on this exploration.